Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all those who celebrated Hanukkah just before. Happy Hanukkah to you. It's Christmas Eve. I'm recording this Christmas Eve morning. How to get it done. How to do this for 3 in, 3 out. How to do it for the flock. You know why? Because at Christmas, I've been doing lots of audio. I've been doing lots of audio ones without the video. And frankly, it's because just plain and easy. Video takes longer to edit. I'm fairly busy and it's been like, oh man, I want to get something done. So I do something, right? But anyway, for this special, call it a special edition. This is the, hey, we made the playoffs edition. We're in the playoffs. We're talking playoffs. So for this one, it's Christmas Eve. So what do? You break out the finer bottle of wine. You buy the boar's head. You get the better slice of meat. You rub it down with some horseradish. You bake it up at 500 for quite a bit. You let it sit. You cut it when the juice is still there. And you get this delicious, delicious version of 3 in, 3 out, which is written, recorded, and distributed exclusively for the Seahawks podcast. So let's get into this week's big 38-31 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chiefs, of course. It was a thing of beauty and a huge victory. So let's get into them nooks. Let's get into them crannies. And if you know one thing about 3 in, 3 out, if you know one thing, when we win, we start with it in. So let's get right to our first in right now on this week's edition of 3 in, 3 out. All right, flock, we certainly talk about setting the tone quite a bit. So when we won the toss and we deferred, giving the ball to Mahomes first, I kind of liked it. I know it's a risky endeavor. I know that could be a recipe for, letting the Chiefs get off early. But you know what? I like the brashness of it. And with the risk came the reward, right? So the reward was in the form of who stepped up in that very first drive. So a couple of really, really cool things we saw in that first drive. Number one, second down. Something we don't actually do all that much. I don't know if it's just a technique thing or I don't know, maybe just our players just don't do it that much. At least to me, I don't feel like we do that much of this at the line. But second down, second play from scrimmage of the game, KJ Wright gets his hands, bats down a Mahomes throw. Bats down a throw that probably would have been an early first down, would have got the Chiefs going. The very next play, there's a beautiful play by Shaq. Once again, listen, Shaq, maybe the first 12, 13 games of the year, 12 games, was playing okay. Maybe a little growing pains in his second year, a little sophomore slump, if you will. No longer. Shaq has been out of his mind good for the last couple of weeks. Out of his mind good. And, that's even including that rubbish PI that we talked about last week versus the 49ers, of course. I mean, man, oh man, there is so much to cover in this game that, of course, everyone's going to talk about Russ and talk about all the beautiful rainbow connections and the Baldwin plays. We're not going to get into any of that, so we got to go a little bit finer and say right out of the gate, getting our hands SWAT team style, getting our hands dirty right away. Second down, no. Third down, no. Punt the ball, we get the ball back, and we drive it down their throats. That is how you start a game. That was impressive. That was the first in. The out here is the disappearing act of Chris Carson. And by the way, of no fault of Chris Carson. Second drive of the game, we basically get to midfield. We have a good drive going and poof, he's gone. He's out. He's nowhere to be seen. It's the Mike Davis show. I like Mike Davis. Mike Davis is a good story and he's a good complimentary back. In fact, you might kill me, I like Carson and Davis better than I like Carson, Davis, Penny. I just do right now. I just do. It means more Carson. That's a good thing right now. Why in the world, in the second drive of the game, the man's not gassed, do we see Carson just disappearing from the drive? It's not like Carson can't block if it's a pass play. And it's not like Carson can't catch the ball out of the backfield. He's shown that he absolutely can. Our offense is not as good with Mike Davis. You're taking the best player, sans Russell Carrington Wilson, sans Russell, you're taking our best offensive weapon off the field for chunks and chunks of the game, and it just doesn't make a lick of sense. So our drive stalls where Davis is getting 3 or 4, Carson would be getting 6, 7, and 8, and then we have to settle for a Seabass attempt, and 3 is not 7. We've said this before, 3 is not 6, and right now with the Seahawks, you hope for the 7, but 3 is certainly not 7, and we have to settle for a Seabass attempt. He doinks it. dreadful, dreadful results. I'm not even blaming Seabass. Put that aside for now. Put that aside. Why in the world does Carson disappear for chunks? For chunks. We get to midfield and he's gone. You know what? Here's the wolf gray lining on this one. My big belief, my big hope is that come playoff time, this exact thing will not happen. Pete and Shoddy are going to be like, okay, that's our guy. He's always our best option. And 90% of the snaps or whatever it has to be, because we're talking about maybe a little run here, right? 90% of the snaps, it's just Carson all day, all day, all day, all day. Carson is just as good, which means very, very, very good as Zeke. He is just as good as Zeke Elliott. Treat the man like a premier number one, RB1 NFL back. Feed that dude that way, and you will see more consistent reward. That's my first out. I want more Carson. I want more cowbell. I want more Carson, and it's Christmas Eve, and all I want for Christmas is more. Number 32, CC, Chris Carson. Oh, by the way, real quick, I saw three really good nicknames from the flock emerging about Chris Carson. Number one, from Tim Moon, I saw Toughness. I liked that. I liked the way that sounds. So toughness, you got sweetness, right? You got Walter Payton, you got sweetness. Just very, very simple. You got sweetness and you got toughness. So Tim, I really thought that was quite good. Then I think it was from Keith Ketover. So Flocktimus, I think it was from you. Timex, right? Because it takes a licking and it keeps on ticking. I kind of like Timex too, because that's all about, staying on time, right? And Carson pounding the ball. He eats minutes. He eats minutes every single game because the man's just churning out first down. So Flocktimus, I like Timex too. And I apologize. Somebody else from the flock also put up a picture of Homer Simpson in his Mr. Plow jacket doing that name again is Mr. Plow. And that, again, 3 really, really good names. Toughness, Timex, and Mr. Plow. A little time, love, and tenderness. And I celebrate the entire collection. Let's get to another in. Did we have incredible success converting on third down? I mean, it was like historic success. It was unbelievable. Third and short, conversion. Third and mid, conversion. Third and long, I don't know. Somehow Dixon just bowls over 3 guys, conversion. Our third down conversions were insane. So I just want to put that out there, first and foremost, and say, for me, for my fandom, that was the single greatest game I've seen Russell Wilson play. Right? So take 3 and 3 out. You know what it's all about. You know it's about the little things. I think that was the single greatest game I've seen Russell Wilson play. And a lot of those third down conversions were Russ just connecting. And by the way, the receivers making some beautiful grabs. But let's go one deeper. I mean, there's a lot to choose from. So I feel like I just want to give this in to the tight end group. I feel like I want to give it to Vannett and Dixon. And by the way, it's not the touchdowns. Those are both nice touchdowns. Nice. And one other, by the way, a little side quill to the side quill. Boy, do I love, listen, Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is a good quarterback. That man does some amazing things. Really good quarterback. But that touchdown to Dixon, I loved Wilson doing a Mahomes, which is really doing a Wilson. Anyway, he's, shuffling left, fires it back, baseball ways to the right. Dixon makes a little stab and grab for the touchdown. Beautiful. But there were a couple of huge third down conversions. So quarter 3, 3rd and 6, first drive after we defer and get the ball back in the second half. 3rd and 6, first drive of the quarter. Vannett has a huge third down conversion. And then, of course, we talked about it earlier, that 3rd and long to Dixon, where it was 3rd and 15, Russ had all day. He had unlimited protection. So he just kind of bandies about, he moseys, he saunters, he does all the things that means a human's moving, and he's in the pocket, a beautiful, gorgeous, tremendous, fantastic pocket, steps up a little bit, finds Dixon for what appears to be a little dump off, maybe 6-7 yards downfield, maybe 5 yards downfield, and then Dixon just says, nope, not today. You're not tackling me, you don't even have a shot, I'm not even sure why you're here, and just goes over 3 or 4 people, gets the first down, and extends that play too. So, man, it's the tight ends both score touchdowns. Awesome. The tight ends both score awesome, beautiful touchdowns. Even better. I want to go into that 3rd and 6 conversion from Vannett, and then that 3rd and long, 3rd and 15 conversion from Dixon. Both of those plays, put that together like Voltron. Russell forms the head, of course, and that is our second in. Man, did we convert on third downs. Now listen, we can't fool ourselves because Kansas City's defense is a dumpster fire. We cannot do that against the Chicago Bears, and we cannot do that against the New Orleans Saints. It ain't going to fly like that. But against this Kansas City team, at home, under the lights, we took advantage, and our third down conversions were a thing of beauty. Shout out to Vinette. Shout out to Dixon. Those were amazing plays. All right, let's get over to another in. Wait, that's wrong. Let's get over to another out. Since it is Christmas Eve when I'm recording this, let's get biblical for just a microsecond and say, first he giveth, and then he taketh away. So I just sang the praises of Dixon, and I loved it, man. Dixon had a great game. Vinette had a great game. The Seahawks had a great game. But this is 3 and 3 out. We do have to dollop out, if you will. We have to dole out some of the outs. So this one, and again, we like to get down to those little things that matter, the nooks and the crannies, as you know. So this one is after the fumble, late in the second quarter, we do this little toss sweep to Carson, which by the way, little side quill here. We don't need to toss the ball to Chris Carson. Listen, some of those are effective. You don't just give him the ball. Give him the ball. Russ, do this and just hand him like a little, here you go. Here's like a Chipotle bowl. Here you go. What'd you want on that? Want some avocado? Just here it is. We don't really need to toss the ball to Chris Carson. I don't see a lot of advantages. He's not Penny, and he runs better in between the tackles anyway. So they toss it left to Carson. It's actually set up quite nice, and Dixon's on the outside, and Dixon just gets beat. And listen, he gets beat by Ford, right? So D Ford is a heck of a player. Dixon just had a lock up on him. If Dixon can execute, then that little toss left and me complaining about that we don't need to, toss a ball left is all negated, because then Carson would have basically had a one-on-one versus a DB out there, and yeah, good luck. Nope, you're not stopping him. And one-on-one with the DB, either he's gonna just Neo over you, or just Superman over you, or he'll just bowl over you like Earl Campbell style. Because again, toughness, Timex, Mr. Plow, time, love, tenderness, and I celebrate the entire collection. I give this out. I know it's small, but go back and watch that. Dixon is just out there. He's got one job to go do. He's got one job, and that's to either turn Ford or just get on Ford just enough. He doesn't do it. Ford's able to just basically shed Dixon, and Dixon's a big man. He's able to shed Dixon and just tackle up Carson real quick. I know it's a small thing, but Dixon on that play, he had a chance to do his job. He gets beat by Ford, and that's the out. All right, let's hop on over to the fun side of the ledger. Let's get back to another in. I'm into this last in, and what can I talk about? There's a lot to talk about. Should I talk about the rainbow connection from Wilson to Lockett? That's one of the prettiest passes I've ever seen. Should I talk about Baldwin with that touchdown grab against the pylon, or the one where he tips it to himself, the one hand? Baldwin balled out. And listen, I already said, in my opinion, this was Russell Carrington Wilson's best game of his career, his best game I've ever seen the man play. So no, I'm going to put all that aside and say we won this game because of our defense. Defense wins championships. So we had to slow this team down. We had to get them in situations where they had to settle for 3, because 3 is not 7. There was no better series that embodied this than it was fourth quarter. We're up 24-17. The Chiefs are at 2nd and goal. And who comes up with another huge play at the goal line? Mahomes has time. He kind of does a little slingshot one again, right to the goal line. Once again, Shaq Griffin. Shaq comes up and bats the ball down. No PI, just like the week before against the 49ers. Should not have been PI. Bats the ball down. Perfect timing. Perfect coverage. Now it's 3rd and long. 3rd down. This is when Clark comes off the edge. And Keith Flocktimus, you pointed out on Facebook on the Seahawkers Pod Ring of Honor that you're like, wow, I thought he might have been flagged for being offsides. And I was like, I'm with you. Went back and watched it. It was like this. It was like this. Identical. You sure about those 5 minutes? All those magic grits? It was identical. Clark off the edge, flushes Mahomes out right away. He has to do that acrobatic thing where he gets to the sideline, still makes an unbelievable throw. It goes incomplete out of the back of the end zone, and now they have to settle for 3. In football, 3 is not 7. In fact, in most things, 3 is not 7. That defensive stand is what won us the game. That was huge. So Shaq and Clark coming together, amazing. So I give the in. If I have to give it to one person, that second down play by Shaq was tremendous. The dude was balling again. So let's give the in to Shaq, and let's just say to Frank the Tank, dude, thank you for being a beast. That's the last in. Let's hop on over to the last out, and let's wrap this thing up. So if you listen to or watch 3 and 3 Out, you know it's just a little side quill. It's a little extra side of gravy that we do for the Seahawkers podcast. So if you are not listening to the Seahawkers podcast, you got to go there. Go to getintheflock.com, join the flock, sign up, listen for free, absorb, roll in it like Scrooge McDuck, have fun. This is the best pod on the planet. And frankly, I'm grateful that I get to do a little side thing, a little side hustle for them, because Brandon and Adam are cool dudes, and they let me go create this for you, for the fans, for 3 and 3 Out. So again, the whole embodiment of 3 and 3 Out is finding little things. I got to tell you, I keep a ledger for every single game in my trusty Seahawks notebook. Of course, what else would it be? Come on, people. So I keep a ledger. This week's ledger looked like this, okay? So, and that side, I hope that was enough for you. That side with the out, I only had two things for the entire game that I'm like, man, those really stood out to me. So the third one, while I don't like to go to the obvious stuff, the third one has got to be Seabass. It just has to be Seabass. And it's here's the thing. It's not the missed field goals. Those are terrible. And let's just hope we get to the postseason. That's not a reason we're talking about anything. Just bury that. Let's hope it's not a reason we're upset or unruly or throwing things at our TV or any of those things, right? Let's just hope. What can we do at this point but hope? The big thing for me is his consistent inability to get the ball to the end zone. Now, I understand he might be hurt. He might have got hurt on that play. He lands on his back. The man's like 72 years old. I get all this. He does, we all know the Seabass shuffle. He gets out there and does this thing. We know this. But man, I just can't see another ball land at like the 10-5, the 2. These players who return kickoffs are so darn good and so dynamic that, yeah, most times you can cover that. A lot of times you're going to get a flag and then they're back at their own 10. It happens all the time in football. Most times you can cover it well. And for the most part, we cover kickoffs well. But look at the end of the game right there, right? We go back up by, what was it at that point? I think we go back up by 11, 2:20 to go or something like that. We kicked the ball off after giving Dixon a couple of attempts. One of them he executed beautifully. One of them he put out of bounds. What can you do? The dude's an Australian football player. I mean, just thank you for being 1 for 2. What can I say there? So Seabass kicks the ball to the 10. I mean, maybe he's hurt, but we talked about this. We talked about the inability to consistently just get touchbacks. And it burned us big time in the Niners game, right? Burned us big time in the Niners game. Now the Niners game is an afterthought. Who the hell cares? It's not going to interrupt really anything. We still clinched and we had a great feeling at home, so all good. Forget about it. But it reared its head again. 2:30 left, 2:20 left. We're back up by 11. We kick the ball off. It lands at like the 10-yard line. And the Chiefs guy takes it all the way back to like our 31. All the way back to our 31. Now again, the defense stood strong, held them to 3 right there, and then they had to go for an onside kick. Goes over Vinette's head. Game over. Victory formation. The whole thing already. We love it. I am fearful that we're going to lose a playoff game because of the inability to get touchbacks. And in the 2018 NFL, that seems like the last thing that somebody should be worried about. And yet, I think it's for the Seahawks, it's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is we just give a team the opportunity to go get back to the 40, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. He could go all the way. And what already, man? We have got to have consistency there. I don't know if Seabass is hurt. I hope the dude's not hurt. If he is injured, if he can't get the ball past the 10-yard line because his back is killing him, we need to figure that out and figure it out extremely quickly, because right now we are playing with fire. That's the last out. Listen, those missed field goals, they got to go. They got to go as well. Hits the post, misses the 47-yarder. We get lucky that he gets hit in the legs. Very lucky there. Listen, we got to clean that up. Seabass, we got to clean that up. I don't know what you got to do. I'm not sure what you got to do. You seem like the Tin Man out there. Oil up, drink a beer, have a Foster's. Do what you got to do before you get out there. we ask you to tag your favorite or least favorite plays, 3I, 3O, or just some notions or just some things you want to chat about that you want to put in the categories for the ins and the outs. And guess what? The flock, you always come through. So this section is always about you. This is From the Flock. Let's see what you had to say about this big 38-31 playoff clinching victory for our Seattle Seahawks. Let's do it from the flock. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, whatever it is you're celebrating. I hope you're surrounded by family and friends and loved ones and people that that bring joy and you can give joy to, because that is what this whole time here is truly about. So we're staying home. We got a 3-win Cardinals team coming in. There's just two simple things to go do here. Number one is get the W, right? We want I will speak for you. I want nothing to do with the Bears in the first round. Nothing. Now, again, the Bears might hop up to seed number 2. But right now, just go win. Get the 5 seed. I want nothing to do with that Bears team. First game in Soldier Field. Could be like 10 degrees. No, thank you. No, thank you. Let's if we have to face the Bears, let's face them later. Let the Bears go beat some teams, right? Let the Bears go knock out a few of these good teams. Let that happen. So that's number one. Just go get the W and stay in that 5 seed. Number 2 is, of course, listen, let's go get the W in the first half. You know, I know we always like to say you can't win a game in the first half. You know what? In this particular game, hey Petey, in this particular instance, let's be up like 24-3 at halftime, and then let's pull back. Let Russ do what he's got to do. Hand the ball off to McKissick 35 times in the second half. Give Mike Davis a full workload. Go win this game in the first half. Get up early, bring it early, be aggressive early when you have Russ and Carson and Lockett and Baldwin and they're all ballin'. Go do that early, do it well, and then the second half, hit the e-brake, get your starters out, and give yourself half a bye. Get the W and get it over with by halftime. And because this is 3 in, 3 out, I'll put a third bonus one in there too. If you're going to that game and you get a chance to stand up and cheer for Larry Fitzgerald, stand up and cheer for Larry Fitzgerald. That dude's awesome. I love Larry Fitzgerald. Do the third thing, do the bonus thing, do the right thing. It's a Spike Lee joint after all. Stand up and clap for Mr. Larry Fitzgerald. All right, listen, that's it. Go get the W. Let's get the W, put it into cruise control, and get ready for what should be them boys. Should be them boys. But first things first, let's just stay at home, get all snuggly, and go beat them Redbirds and beat them soundly. All right, everybody, I am Clinton Bonner. That was this week's edition, this playoff edition of 3 in, 3 out. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, it is written, recorded, and distributed exclusively for the Seahawks podcast. Let's go make this playoff run. And, of course, go Hawks.